Welcome to the Annual Performance Report, APR, Indicator 12 Compliance Training. This presentation covers IDEA Annual Performance Report Indicator 12 reporting and compliance for early childhood transition, which includes the TEIS extended option. We will move through the early childhood transition process by covering TEIS monthly notification, transition planning conferences, or TPC, and activities after the TPC that complete the transition process. We will finish by describing how Indicator 12 compliance is determined and by providing resources for further information. This presentation offers multiple opportunities to consider a response or to participate in discussion if it is being viewed as a group. When a slide has the speech bubble icon, please pause the recording to discuss the question presented and restart the recording when ready to continue. Let's begin with a description of the Annual Performance Report and Indicator 12, Early Childhood Transition, Reporting and Compliance. The Annual Performance Report, or APR, includes statewide targets and provides data for 17 indicators of how well the state is meeting the requirements of IDEA and implementing special education programs. The Tennessee Department of Education submits the report to the federal government each February. Some of the indicators measured are compliance indicators with a 100% target. Other indicators are results-based and have targets set by the department in collaboration with stakeholder groups. The department compiles aggregate statewide and local education agency, or LEA level data, for each of the 17 indicators. LEAs are provided an APR local determination data matrix displaying the LEA's performance in comparison to each indicator target. Each LEA is assigned a designation of meets requirements, needs assistance, or needs intervention based on a combined scoring system. Before discussing Indicator 12, we are going to define some important terms that will help to understand the APR better. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is the federal law that makes available a free, appropriate public education, known as FAPE, with special education and related services to eligible children with disabilities at age 3 through 21 years old, under Part B of the law, and provides early intervention to children from birth to age 3, under Part C of the law. The Office of Special Education Programs, or OSEP, is a division of the U.S. Department of Education that is dedicated to improving results for infants, toddlers, children, and youth with disabilities ages birth through 21 years of age. Early childhood transition refers to the IDEA requirement that all children served in Part C, or early intervention, and referred to Part B, or school system services, who are suspected of having a disability will be evaluated, have Part B eligibility determined, and if the child is eligible, have an individualized education program, or IEP, developed and implemented by the child's third birthday. Section 619 of IDEA Part B focuses on preschool special education and related services for children 3 through 5 years old and includes early childhood transition. APR Indicator 12, which is a compliance indicator, meaning the target is set by OSEP and is 100%, measures the percent of children referred by Part C in early intervention prior to age 3 who are found eligible for Part B services and who have an IEP developed and implemented by their third birthday. An individualized education program, or IEP, is a written legal document created for an eligible child to detail the special education instruction, supports, and services the student needs to thrive in school. TN Pulse is the department's platform to collect, store, and manage data for students with disabilities ages 3 through 21 and students with other unique learning needs. Part C of IDEA mandates early intervention services. Tennessee Early Intervention System, or TEIS, is the state of Tennessee's Part C program that offers therapy and other services to families of infants and young children, ages birth to 3, with developmental delays or disabilities. In early intervention, an Individualized Family Support Plan, or IFSP, is the written legal document developed for the family of a child found eligible for early intervention and includes the services and supports specific to the child and family to help the child reach optimal development. The Tennessee Early Intervention Data System, or TEIS, is the platform that TEIS uses to collect, store, and manage data for children receiving early intervention services. Children and family in Tennessee may now consider the TEIS extended option. This option allows a child who has an active IFSP with TEIS and has been found eligible for Part B special education services to continue receiving Part C early intervention services beyond age 3. If the family chooses the extended option, an IEP is not developed and implemented, and the child's TN Pulse record is inactivated with the exit reason parent elected Part C TEIS extended services option. The child can continue to receive Part C services until the start of the school year after his or her 5th birthday. And Part B eligibility is maintained throughout that time frame. However, a parent may choose to end extended early intervention services and request an IEP at any time. Whenever the child transitions to Part B, the LEA may conduct additional assessments if needed to develop and implement the IEP. Other reminders about the TEIS extended option include that a parent is given sufficient opportunity to make an informed decision to accept or decline this option. Once the child is determined Part B eligible, TEIS holds an extended option decision meeting, which may be in conjunction with the preschool eligibility meeting. If the parent declines the extended option or does not sign the decision form within 10 calendar days of the decision meeting, the child will no longer be eligible for the TEIS extended option and must transition to Part B on the child's 3rd birthday. If a parent chooses to end the extended option prior to their child's 5th birthday, the LEA has 60 calendar days to develop and implement an IEP after receiving a signed notice of the parent's intention. Starting in March 2025, LEAs will receive notice from TEIS of children who will be aging out of Part C extended services. This notification will include children who will turn age 5 by the start of the next school year. Notification in March is intended to provide time to schedule meetings to develop and implement an IEP for the upcoming school year. This terminology and information we've just covered takes us back to the topic of APR Indicator 12 reporting. Indicator 12 is defined as the percentage of children who have been referred to the LEA by IDEA Part C, TEIS in Tennessee, prior to age 3, who have been determined eligible for Part B special education services and have an IEP developed and implemented by the child's 3rd birthday. Once again, Indicator 12 is a compliance indicator with a target and expectation that 100% of children determined eligible for Part B services will have an IEP developed and implemented by their 3rd birthday. Indicator 12 data is reported in resolution categories used in the calculation to determine Indicator 12 compliance. Category A includes all children who have been served in Part C, TEIS, and referred to Part B for eligibility determination through a transition planning conference. Category B is the number of children who were referred by TEIS and included in Category A, but are determined to be not eligible for IDEA Part B prior to the child's third birthday. Category C is the number of children who were referred and included in Category A who were determined eligible for Part B and who have an IEP developed and implemented by the child's third birthday. Category D is the number of children included in Category A for whom a parent refused to provide consent for an evaluation or to begin initial IEP services. This information must be documented prior to a child's third birthday for the transition to be timely. Category E is the number of children who were determined eligible for TEIS early intervention services with less than 90 days before the child's third birthday. Once again, children in this late referral category are also included in Category A. The final reporting category, F, is the number of children whose parent chose the TEIS extended option and completed that decision prior to the child's third birthday. Let's walk through an example calculation of an LEA's Indicator 12 percentage. The calculation begins with the number of children who had an IEP implemented by the third birthday, which is Category C, and 24 children in our example. This is shown in the numerator of the fraction. In the denominator, we begin with the total number of children referred through a TPC, which is 37 children. From the total number of referrals, subtract timely not eligible, which is 3 children, subtract timely parent refusal, or 4 children, subtract late referrals, which is 2 children, and subtract timely TEIS extended option, or 3 children. So in the bottom box, 24 out of 25 children remaining in the calculation had a timely IEP developed and implemented. This means that one child had an untimely transition and the LEA was 96% compliant and did not meet the 100% target. For Indicator 12 data collection, written documentation is extremely important. If a child's TN Pulse record does not include evidence of IEP implementation or another transition resolution by the child's third birthday, the transition outcome is untimely and the LEA is non-compliant for Indicator 12. Now let's address the early childhood transition process, beginning with the TEIS monthly notification. The TEIS monthly notification is considered an initial referral to the LEA and is required by IDEA regulations. All children who are currently receiving Part C services are considered potentially eligible for Part B services and are referred by TEIS with parent consent through a monthly notification to the LEA's special education supervisor or designee. The notification spreadsheet includes the name, date of birth, and parent contact information for each child 27 months or older who is currently receiving TEIS services. When the monthly notification is received, the LEA must document that the notice of procedural safeguards and an introductory letter have been provided to the parent in acknowledgement of the initial referral to the LEA. It's time for our first scenario, but there is no need to pause the recording for this one. We received a TEIS monthly notification list and one child on the spreadsheet is not zoned for my LEA. What is our responsibility? The correct response is for the LEA to notify TEIS of the error and to document that TEIS has been contacted. TEIS will send the notification to the correct LEA as they receive these errors. The next scenario considers child find responsibility. The March notification list included Sally Davis. We sent the notice of procedural safeguards and an introductory letter to her parents and documented that action. But Sally is nearing her 3rd birthday, and we have not been asked to attend a transition planning conference. Have we met our child find responsibility for this referral? You may choose to pause the recording to discuss your response. Please return to the recording when you are ready to continue. You may have discussed that if the LEA has documented sending the procedural safeguards and introductory letter, consulted with TEIS, and documented one of the following circumstances: the child is no longer active with TEIS, the parent has elected to not transition to the LEA, or TEIS has held a non-LEA transition meeting. Then the LEA has met the child find responsibility for this referral. After the monthly notification, the next major early childhood transition milestone is the Child's Transition Planning Conference. This section addresses TPC responsibilities and potential Indicator 12 compliance issues. A Transition Planning Conference, or TPC, is offered to all families of children receiving Part C services with TEIS. A TPC is considered timely when it is held between 9 months up to 90 days before a child's 3rd birthday. The meeting is arranged and led by a TEIS service coordinator and is designed to inform the family of program and service options available after their child turns 3 years old. The TEIS extended option, preschool special education services and programs, and opportunities in the community may be discussed. Although TEIS organizes the Transition Planning Conference meeting, an LEA representative must participate and has several responsibilities during the TPC, including providing the family an overview of the LEA's early childhood program options and special education services. The LEA representative also explains the process to determine a child's eligibility and previews the steps to develop an IEP. The TPC is an opportunity to discuss next steps with a child's parent and to review the timeline requirements for early childhood transition, such as 60 calendar days to complete an evaluation and the requirement to develop and implement an IEP by the child's 3rd birthday if the child is determined eligible. The TPC may provide an opportunity to schedule a date to conduct the evaluation, schedule an eligibility meeting, and schedule a tentative IEP meeting. To maintain collaboration throughout the transition timeframe, the LEA representative will want to be sure that contact information is shared with one another. Questions are often asked about late referrals, late TPCs, and how they are different. A child is considered a late referral when they are initially referred to TEIS less than 90 days before the child's 3rd birthday. The LEA should receive a late referral notification from TEIS and must proceed with the transition process as timely as possible. OSEP encourages the LEA to make every effort to complete the evaluation, determine eligibility, and develop and implement an IEP by the child's 3rd birthday or as soon as possible after the 3rd birthday. For Indicator 12 reporting purposes, a late referral is counted in the late referral category, which is Category E. A child who has a late transition planning conference has been receiving TEIS services, but the TPC was requested after the child turned 2 years and 9 months old. When an LEA receives a request for a late TPC, use the TN Pulse contacts to document the reason the meeting was held late, and proceed with transition activities as timely as possible to complete the transition by the child's 3rd birthday. The LEA should be prepared to respond to any inquiries for Indicator 12 data collection and ensure all documentation and contacts are in TN Pulse for determination of Indicator 12 compliance. Another frequently asked question is, are late referrals included in the monthly notification? A child referred to TEIS less than 45 days before the 3rd birthday is not included in the notification. A child who was a late referral to TEIS 45 to 90 days before the 3rd birthday will be included in a notification after an IFSP has been developed. In some circumstances, an LEA may be requested to attend a TPC prior to the child being included in a monthly notification. Here is another common scenario. 5 months ago, AJ's mom chose not to have a transition planning conference, but she has now changed her mind. TEIS called in May to schedule a TPC before AJ's birthday in June, but our calendar is completely full. What should we do? You may choose to pause the recording to discuss the appropriate response. Please restart the recording when ready to continue. You may have discussed that the LEA should meet with the parent and TEIS in a late TPC as soon as possible. You may use alternative methods to hold the meeting, such as meeting virtually. Be sure to document in the TN Pulse contacts that the TPC is late due to apparent reason. Proceed with the transition as timely as possible and determine eligibility and discuss the TEIS extended option. Because AJ did have a transition meeting with the school district, the LEA remains obligated to meet Indicator 12 requirements and have the IEP developed and implemented by the 3rd birthday. Again, it is important to maintain detailed documentation in TN Pulse to show the efforts made to meet timelines and to resolve the transition. So, does it matter why the TPC is untimely? Consider this scenario. Our transition coordinator was out due to a family emergency. The rescheduled TPC is only 78 days before Logan's 3rd birthday. How will this impact our LEA Indicator 12 data? Please pause the recording to discuss your response. Restart the recording when you're ready. You may have discussed that a late TPC for a non-parent reason, for example, cancellation due to weather, scheduling difficulties, or staff absence, will result in an untimely transition unless the IEP is developed and implemented by the eligible child's 3rd birthday, and this would be correct. Let's look further at details for late referrals. Late referrals to TEIS of at least 45 up to 90 days before a child's 3rd birthday have TEIS required actions. TEIS will determine eligibility for Part C and develop an IFSP if the child is eligible for early intervention services. A transition planning conference will be held, after which the LEA will take steps to determine eligibility under Part B. If the child is found eligible for Part B services, the TEIS extended option is available for a parent to choose. A parent has 10 days after a decision meeting to decide about the TEIS extended option. For Indicator 12 reporting, a late referral is counted in the late referral category, which is Category E. So what happens when a late referral is less than 45 days before a child's third birthday? TEIS sends the referral information to the LEA, but does not determine Part C eligibility nor hold a TPC. The TEIS extended option is not available to children referred to TEIS less than 45 days before their third birthday. The LEA proceeds with child find responsibilities by reaching out to the parent, providing the notice of procedural safeguards, offering an eligibility evaluation, and developing and implementing an IEP if eligible for Part B services. The Indicator 12 transition resolution category for these referrals is late referral. The next scenario brings up another frequently asked question, this time for using evaluation data from TEIS. George was a late referral to TEIS and had a transition planning conference shortly after his IFSP was developed. His service coordinator and his family provided recent Part C assessments and other information that will meet requirements for Part B eligibility. Can we go ahead and determine him eligible at the TPC? Please pause the recording to discuss yes or no and why or why not to determine George's eligibility at the transition planning conference. Replay when you are ready to answer. The correct answer is no. Part B eligibility may not be determined at the transition meeting. Instead, be sure to evaluate for all areas of suspected disability. Include the TEIS provided data and review this along with other assessments and data obtained by the LEA. Review evidence from a variety of sources and not one single tool or instrument at the eligibility meeting, which includes all required IEP team members. After the transition planning conference, many action steps must be completed to ensure a seamless early childhood transition. In this next section, we'll use scenarios illustrating these activities to answer commonly asked questions. After a transition planning conference has been held, a TEIS record will import to TN Pulse. Records import twice a month. On the 5th day of each month, for a TPC from the 16th day through the end of the previous month, a TEIS record will import. On the 20th day of each month, for a TPC from the 1st through the 15th of the current month, a TEIS record will import. The TEIS import record is intended to give the LEA the ability to generate necessary documents, such as meeting invitations, parental consent, and so forth, and to document all communication with parents and others in TN Pulse without needing to enroll a child in your student information system. Let's consider the situation of a missing TEIS record. A transition coordinator from Martin City Schools attended Shauna's TPC meeting 6 weeks ago. Shauna's TEIS record has not imported to TN Pulse. What should the LEA do? When a TEIS record does not import as expected, the LEA may check with TEIS for release of the record or message TN Pulse's Zendesk to inquire about the import. The LEA should contact Shauna's parents to continue the transition process to ensure Indicator 12 compliance. It may be necessary to complete paper documents to meet all timelines and complete the transition by Shauna's 3rd birthday. Detailed documentation of all contacts and activities completed for Shauna's transition should be maintained and uploaded to TN Pulse when it becomes available to do so. Let's look at this scenario with a child who moves into your LEA. The TEIS service coordinator who serves Weston County informed me of a recent addition to her caseload. A transition planning conference was held, but it was in Baker County. Which LEA is responsible for Indicator 12 compliance? You may pause the recording to discuss an answer. Please resume the recording when you are ready to go on. Participation in the TPC determines Indicator 12 responsibility, so Baker County is accountable. However, Weston County must continue the transition process in a timely manner. Once being notified the child resides in your district, send the notice of procedural safeguards and an introductory letter to the parent. Make a request to transfer the child's record in TN Pulse. You may inquire from Baker County if they had obtained any current assessments or information to help complete the evaluation. Schedule to meet with the parent to complete the transition process as soon as possible. So your LEA is not responsible for Indicator 12 compliance for a child whose TPC was held somewhere else. What should you do if a child moves away after having a TPC with your LEA? Be sure to record details of when the child moved and how the notification was received, and include this information in the TN Pulse contacts. Send a prior written notice to the parent that your LEA will not provide an evaluation due to the move out of the district. Upload all relevant documentation to TN Pulse and communicate with the receiving district to help them complete the child's transition. Finally, inactivate the child's record with the exit reason moved known to be continuing. If the child has moved and the record is inactivated by the 3rd birthday, the category for Indicator 12 reporting is parent refusal. The next scenario considers when to schedule the Part B evaluation. If the TPC is held at 6 to 9 months before a child's 3rd birthday, is it okay to wait to evaluate so that the skills reflected in the assessment data better support eligibility determination? Yes, it is okay to wait until closer to a child's 3rd birthday to begin the evaluation. But be sure to plan to meet all required timelines, such as completing the evaluation within 60 days of receiving parental consent and developing and implementing an IEP by the child's 3rd birthday. Also consider any benefits and disadvantages of waiting to evaluate. Don't allow a transition to fall off the radar, and ensure birthdays at the beginning of the school year will have timely IEP development. In this scenario, the parent missed bringing the child for an evaluation. We attended the transition planning conference with Alex's family 4 months before his 3rd birthday and scheduled to meet in 1 month to begin the evaluation. The family was unable to attend the meeting, and we called 4 times to reschedule with no response. Can we resolve this transition as a parent refusal? Why or why not? Please pause the recording to discuss this scenario and restart when you are ready to continue. The correct answer is no. The LEA should not yet consider this transition resolved. You must ensure due diligence to reconnect and reschedule to meet with the parent. The next slide will discuss steps that must still be taken. What would be considered due diligence for resolving a transition? Starting from the transition planning conference until the transition is fully resolved, the LEA must make contact attempts by multiple means and multiple times over an appropriate time period, and be sure to record all contact attempts and any responses received. Again, maintain documentation in TN Pulse. This might include invitations to meetings, letters sent to the home, emails, texts, as well as phone calls. Before closing a transition, the LEA must send a prior written notice with an additional copy of the Notice of Procedural Safeguards by certified mail if the multiple attempts to reach a parent have been unsuccessful. After all attempts to reestablish contact with the family have proved unsuccessful, the child's record would be inactivated as a parent withdrawal, refusal of services. The TEIS extended option adds a step to the preschool transition process. See if you can answer 2 questions related to this scenario. Junior's Part B eligibility and TEIS extended option decision meetings were combined. The service coordinator and the preschool coordinator discussed TEIS and LEA options with the family. Junior's parents are now ready to make an informed decision. How long does the family have to decide? From the date the TEIS decision meeting is held, the family has 10 calendar days to decide. What should the LEA do while waiting for a family's decision? The LEA should schedule a tentative date for an IEP team meeting to ensure that an IEP will be developed and implemented by the 3rd birthday if that is what the parent decides to do. While it can be advantageous, holding the extended option decision meeting at the eligibility meeting is not required. To follow up on Junior's transition, this scenario looks at the decision for choosing extended option. Junior's family has chosen the TEIS extended option. So, is he still eligible for Part B services after his 3rd birthday? The answer is yes. Junior still has Part B eligibility. Remember, there are other required actions to resolve this transition. Maintain Junior's eligibility until a reevaluation is needed. Send his parents a prior written notice that an IEP will not be finalized at this time because of the extended option decision, and inactivate Junior's record with the exit reason parent elected Part C TEIS extended services option. Here is a scenario of when a parent declines a Part B evaluation. After Penelope's transition planning conference, her parents decided not to pursue an evaluation with the LEA. They understand that without Part B eligibility determined, the TEIS extended option cannot be considered. How does the LEA document that this transition has been completed? The LEA must ensure that all documents generated and contacts made are in the TN Pulse record for Penelope. This transition must be resolved by sending the parents a prior written notice describing that an evaluation will not be completed due to their decline of an evaluation. And the TEIS record in TN Pulse should be inactivated using the exit reason of transferred to regular education. Completing these steps would be appropriate for a parent refusal transition resolution for Indicator 12 reporting. The following scenario has a consideration for summer third birthdays. When a child's third birthday is in the summer, should special education services always begin when school resumes in August? Please pause the recording to consider an answer of yes or no, and why or why not. When you are ready to continue, resume the recording. The correct answer is no. The IEP team must consider extended school year or other necessary services for each preschool child with a summer birthday. The special education framework makes clear that ESY must be considered for a child to receive FAPE, even if the child was recently determined eligible for special education, and that ESY is intended to maintain skills and behaviors so the child will not be spending additional weeks during the school year to return to the former level. In determining extended school year for a preschool child, including a child transitioning from TEIS with a summer birthday, IEP teams should consider the following questions based on ESY guidance included in the special education framework. Is the child showing growth in a skill? For example, the child is beginning to use words, play with peers, or follow directions, but the child has not had sufficient time to show mastery of the skill, or progress monitoring from early intervention services or a prior placement is unavailable. Is the child's physical health or other needs such that continuous intervention is required? Will a break from routine or support lead to behavior that is harmful to the child or to others, such as biting, hitting, or eloping, or cause regression in behavior, such that the child will require a more restrictive educational environment? The next scenario brings up some other items about summer. Sometimes knowing the correct date for each early childhood event in TN Pulse can be confusing. Let's look at this scenario. Ben's transition planning conference was held in March ahead of his third birthday on June 4th, 2024. The IEP team determined him eligible for Part B services on May 7th, 2024. A week later, Ben's dad signed the TEIS extended option decision form choosing the LEA, and an IEP was signed on May 20th, 2024. The team decided that ESY or other services were not needed for Ben and that his services would begin when school resumes on August 5th, 2024. What is the IEP begin date for Ben's IEP? Please pause the recording to consider the correct date and restart when you are ready. The correct answer is Ben's third birthday, or June 4th, 2024, as the begin date of his IEP. Let's look at the other TN Pulse events in Ben's record. What is the correct date for each of the following events? Eligibility date. Eligibility was completed May 7th, 2024. IEP event date or meeting date. The IEP team met and developed Ben's IEP on May 20th, 2024. Current IEP begin date. As we just covered, the IEP begin date is Ben's third birthday, June 4th, 2024. What is the end date for this IEP? The correct end date is May 19th, 2025, which is 365 days from the initial IEP meeting. What is the services begin date? The services begin date is August 5th, 2024, when Ben will start attending school and receiving his services. Now that we have shared answers to many common questions related to the early childhood transition process and Indicator 12 compliance, the next question is, how is Indicator 12 compliance determined each year, and what happens if 100% of transitions from early intervention to preschool are not appropriately resolved prior to the child's third birthday? The process for Indicator 12 compliance determination is conducted after the end of each school year with data received from TEIS. TEIS data are merged with TN Pulse records for analysis and an assignment of a preliminary transition resolution for each child. The analysis is looking for the transition resolutions discussed earlier, such as a finalized IEP. For any transitions that may have been untimely and not resolved by a child's third birthday, the department provides each LEA a spreadsheet listing those children. The LEA must respond with relevant information for each child and ensure documentation is in the TN Pulse record. The data management team reviews TN Pulse records and the LEA's responses to finalize the transition resolution category for each child included in the spreadsheet and to determine Indicator 12 compliance. What information is required from the LEA in response to each potentially untimely transition? The department needs any corrections for a TN Pulse record, such as the child's name, date of birth, or state ID number. The LEA will identify the accurate transition resolution category for each child from the available reporting categories of timely IEP, non-eligible, parent refusal, late referral to TEIS, TEIS extended option, or untimely. The LEA should provide information to explain and support the transition resolution they have identified and ensure all documents and contacts are in the child's TN Pulse record. The record should be made inactive with the appropriate exit reason when a child is not receiving services through the LEA. Let's quickly review the Indicator 12 reporting categories for transition resolution. A record is considered timely when an IEP is implemented by the child's third birthday. Non-eligible is the category when a child is determined not eligible before the third birthday. The parent refusal category is used when a record is inactivated before the child's third birthday because the child has moved or has transferred to general education or the parent withdraws or refuses services. A late referral to TEIS is a child referred to TEIS less than 90 days before his or her third birthday. TEIS extended services option is used when the parent has made that decision before the child's third birthday. When a child's transition cannot be included in one of the above categories, it is considered untimely. So, what corrective actions are required if our LEA has a finding of noncompliance for Indicator 12? The LEA must ensure there is a resolution for each child whose transition is determined to be out of compliance. For example, an IEP must be finalized, although eligibility was determined after the third birthday. Personnel who participate in early childhood transition must complete this training presentation. Relevant staff may include a special education supervisor or coordinator, school psychologist, teachers, related service providers, and others who attend transition planning conferences, provide evaluations, or participate in eligibility meetings. The LEA must develop or revise their early childhood transition procedures and address the cause of untimely transitions. For example, additional staff may be required, or earlier scheduling of evaluations may be needed. And then finally, the data management team may review data to see if the LEA is demonstrating Indicator 12 compliance in the current school year. Our final scenario does not require a pause for discussion. One untimely transition caused our LEA to be non-compliant with Indicator 12 in our APR determination. How do we ensure this transition is resolved? For each transition that was untimely, the LEA must document one of the following resolutions in TN Pulse. An IEP has now been implemented, non-eligibility has now been determined, or the record has now been inactivated for an appropriate reason, such as the child has moved out of the LEA or the parent has refused or withdrawn from services. So what can an LEA do to improve Indicator 12 compliance? Recommendations to help ensure a smooth transition for children and families include to track referrals, starting from the TEIS notification and throughout the transition, including the TPC, consent to evaluate, IEP implementation, or other resolution. Quickly address any administrative roadblocks, such as resolving TEIS record import issues. Allow for unforeseen delays by scheduling earlier to obtain parental consent for testing, to complete eligibility, and to ensure TEIS extended decision meetings and IEP meetings are held well ahead of the third birthday. Train staff and support everyone to follow the LEA's early childhood transition procedures. Monitor your tracking system and the implementation of the LEA's early childhood transition procedures and make revisions and improvements as needed. Finally, remember that there is no timeline extension available for Indicator 12. We would like to close this presentation with resources and contact information for any remaining questions. In Tennessee, we strive to provide a positive early childhood transition for each child and family receiving Part C services referred to Part B. Under IDEA, the department and each LEA must ensure a seamless transition from early intervention to timely and appropriate special education and related services that are designed to provide an eligible child a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE. More information may be found using these resource links and on the department's Early Childhood Special Education webpage. We appreciate your participation in this training presentation. For additional assistance, please contact the appropriate department staff member. Thank you.